Good damn morning, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Now, check this out. Studies show our parents directly affects our mental health. Many anti-aging supplements found on store shelves try to capitalize on that. Most of them fall short. This is because they fail at targeting the root of the problem. This is why I highly recommend Health with Jericho. This amazing collagen quickly restores youthfulness to your skin. It helps combat wrinkles and does so better than anything else I've ever tried. Imagine how good your skin could look this summer with it. If you've been looking for a great way to look and feel your best, you'll love Health with Jericho. Get up to 51% off for the next 24 hours by going to healthwithjericho.com or by visiting the link below. Now, before I get started, before I drag this blue check mark dumbass into the public square, I want to read something that has a little extra bite to it these days. I want to read something that we really need to lean and reflect on, especially now. And this little thing is this annoying little piece of paper, this little leaflet they keep trying to get rid of in Washington, D.C. and in some of our state governments. It's called the Declaration of Independence. You may have heard of it. And I'm going to read part of it. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness." So let that sit there. Think about that. These documents were written a long time ago, but one thing they knew, people will never change. So the dumbass I was speaking of is Taraji P. Henson. Don't feel bad and don't worry if you don't know who the hell that is. She's a C-list actress at best, and she deserves what I'm about to give her, not just for this, but also for this dumbass movie she put out called Proud Mary, where she's a female hit man, hit woman, hit person. You know what? I was thinking about it, and I did a video a long time ago when I was talking about this rash of female assassin, female badass movies that were coming out, right? And so when you're watching any movie, it doesn't matter what genre it comes from, there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief, right? You know, this shit ain't gonna happen this way. Like a romantic comedy or something. You're not gonna bump into her, she drops her papers, you both go down to pick them up and hit your heads, oh, I'm sorry, and then you lock eyes and you're in love. Or an action movie. John Wick, Bruce Lee, all that shit. Bruce Lee, one of the baddest motherfuckers ever. I know he's not going into a dojo to beat up 28 dudes. But he did say one of the hardest lines ever. And what was that? Fist of Fury, where they had worked at the ice plant and all these dudes come up missing and his cousin Shu Shane comes up missing. And so there's this big old fight and they break the necklace that his dead mom gave him, right? He promised her he wouldn't fight, but then they broke the necklace and he says, "You want to fight? I'll take you on." And then he beats the shit out of like 20 dudes. Anyway, I know that in any movie, okay, that shit's not going to happen, but it's for entertainment purposes. But I figured out what pisses me off about these female badass hitman, what is it, Atomic Blonde. It's not even all the action and all that bullshit so much. It's they act like men. They're not men. Be a woman, assassin, whatever you want to be, but be a woman. Most women aren't going to beat up a bunch of dudes and then saddle up to the bar and, put some ice in a handkerchief and ice their knuckles and drink some bourbon on the rocks. Like, just be a woman about it. That's what pisses me off. You're not fucking act and talk like dudes. That shit is just even more unrealistic on top of the movie. Anyway, Taraji P. Henson, she was on that show Empire that 7 people saw with Jussie Smollett. Remember him? He just got sentenced to 150 days in the booty house, and he had to pay some money back to the city, which is the best part of that sentence, not punishment. So she came out saying that he needs to be released from prison, and here is why I'm doing this video because I'm so sick and tired of this stupid shit. They take it too damn far. This is evil, okay? I usually call these people sick, but they're not sick. A sickness is something you can't help. These people are evil, okay? This dumbass woman said that Jussie needs to be released, and she likened him to Emmett Till. I am so sick and you notice all these stories and people they tried out are all historic. They're old. Emmett Till, let me tell you who Emmett Till was. And if you don't know, you're about to, and it's fucked up. Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy from Chicago. He went down to Mississippi to visit some of his family. I believe it was during the summer or something. But he went down there to visit in the South. The way they act up north in Chicago was different than the way they acted down south. So they interacted with white people differently up north. So he sees this woman. She says that he whistled at her or some shit. And it turned out she was lying. But even if he did, what he got is no punishment for anything close to that. So basically, they find the boy. They drag him out of jail. They take him to this barn. They beat him and they torture him. And they end up shooting him above his right ear. And then they took a 70-pound fan from this cotton gin to sink his body. And they took the cotton gin fan and they tied it around his neck with barbed wire. Barbed wire, 14-year-old human skin. That's going to be painful, right? It's going to be catastrophic to his body. So they wrapped the 70-pound fan around his neck with barbed wire. After they beat him, one of his eyes was hanging out of his head. They shot him and threw him in the river. And he had all these marks and scars all over his body from being beaten. And they threw him in the river. He was 14 years old. Imagine the fear when those fucking monsters came in and pulled him from his cell and took him to that barn and did what they did to him. And they lied. They all got away with it because that was the South back then. That was how the Democrats ran the South back then. Yeah, I said Democrats. So all of those people got away with it. The lady ended up coming out years later saying that she lied, but it was too little too late, you fucking monster. So that's what happened to that little boy in the America that these disgusting people wish for. That's what happened to Emmett Till. Now she wants to compare that to a rich celebrity who was making over $100,000 a week for being on a TV show, and his sentencing was 5 months in jail, paying some money, and being on probation. That's who that stupid son of a bitch, that stupid motherfucker, compared Jussie Smollett to. You know the major difference between Emmett Till and Jussie Smollett, you dumbass? Is that Jussie Smollett's mom and dad and his dumbass sister and her dumbass brother and their dumbass grandma who said, put me in jail with them. All these dumbasses can still wrap their arms around Jussie and hug him and tell him that they love him. You know why? Because he's still alive. He wasn't tortured and murdered at 14 years old. And Jussie is a grown fucking man. He can handle his situations. He can handle his incarceration. That 14-year-old boy couldn't. Jussie wasn't tortured and he wasn't murdered. Not even close. He made up his story. We only wish that Emmett Till was making up his. That boy was tortured and murdered. His eyeball was popped. It was dislodged from his skull. I'm no medical professional, but I'm going to guess it takes a lot of pressure to make your eyeball come out. How hard did they hit that boy in his head to cause his fucking eyeball to come out? Beating him, whipping him, cutting him, they wrapped a barbed wire around his neck first. Then they killed him. How do you think that feels to have barbed wire wrapped around your neck and then attached to a 70-pound weight? This motherfucker is going to be out on the street in a month. And while he's in jail, He's under protective custody. They said they're going to keep a watchful eye on him because he was sent to the psych ward. Why do you think they sent him to the psych ward? Because it'd be the way that he acted in the fucking courtroom right before they took him in there? That might be it. I am not suicidal. Sounds to me like you might be suicidal. To them, they got to take precautions. You're a high-profile inmate. They can't not take those kind of words seriously, and then something happens to you, and then what happens to them? They have to put your dumb ass in the psych ward to make sure you're not telling the truth or you're not lying about not being suicidal. But it's it's because he's black, he's being treated like that. No, because he's a dumb fuck and he lied to everybody. That's why he's being treated like that. But Taraji P. Henson, you stupid fuck, to say that Jussie Smollett, what happens to him in 2022, the reason Jussie has it so good is because of the things that happen to people like Emmett Till. Stop dragging out these people who died under real racism. What you long for, what you have wet dreams about. They did that shit. This is what happened to people on a regular basis in the South back then. But now we've taken the reins. Hey, we got this Ku Klux Klan, racist South Democrats. Don't worry about this. We'll take the reins. We'll kill ourselves in numbers you couldn't fucking imagine. Why don't you talk about that, Taraji P. Henson, you C-list piece of shit? Why don't you shine a light on that? The real tragedies and the real atrocities happening in Chicago. Not what one of your bitch-ass co-workers made up and now he's paying for. The best thing for you to do is go down to your corner liquor store, go to the back where they keep the nice cold drinks and get a 40 ounce of shut the fuck up and chug it. Stupid. Emmett Till. These people are evil. Why would you bring that boy up and disgrace his memory like that? Comparing him to that piece of shit. You know what? Scoot over. Jussie, scoot over. You're about to get a roommate. Put Taraji P. Henson's dumb ass right in there with them. You guys can braid each other's hair. What did they say? What did he say on the Chappelle show? He's like, that's plenty of time for you to convert to Islam and lift weights. Now get out of my courtroom, you fuck. That's plenty of time, 150 days, plenty of time for you guys to do each other's hair and draw tattoos on each other's backs and give each other tramp stamps. Disgusting, evil piece of goat blood drinking, Hollywood elite pervert piece of shit. Now let me get in here with my beautiful wife and kids and protect them from people like that. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link. Get your ass over to JerichoGreen.net. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.